Good morning, gang. You're very welcome. We're here this morning with Mr Joe Tobin, and we were commissioned by the administrator of the Waterford gang to do an in-depth interview because our last piece regarding Blahs was created such an interest that people wanted to really know the historical facts of where did the Blah originate from, how did it come to be, and how come that it's still eaten in Waterford after 700 years. And the authority on this is a direct descendant from one of those early Huguenots who came over first and introduced the Blah, Mr Joe Tobin. You're very welcome, Joe.
Thanks, Dermot. Very delighted to be here, Dermot.
Right, Joe.
Being a direct descendant from the Huguenots, 300 years ago we came over from France. So we were all tradespeople, as everybody know, and we set up in Wexford and came on to Waterford then.
Can I stop you? Why did they come over, Joe?
They came over because they were persecuted in France at that particular time. You had a lot of religious complications.
But you see, now I got a different story, and it's just to show you the way history is all muddled up. What I was told was that the part of France, I'm right, they came from France.
That's right.
Very damp climate, and I believe they were always suffering from colds and flus and things like that. And as a matter of fact, they were not called the Huguenots, but the Huguenots. That's wrong. That's obviously wrong.
That's obviously wrong.
Yeah,
oh God, delight! I'd have made up that one. But no, direct descendants. They set up in Waterford and Wexford, as I said, and they created this famous piece of bread called the Blah. Now the French for it is a different name, but the Blah, as you said, 700 years. In actual fact, was 300 years. They're here 300 years, and like this Blah, as we all know today, everybody is an authority on the Blah, but not many people know actually the history of the Blah.
Right.
Me being a direct descendant,
okay,
I have all the details, of course, you know, but don't tell it to everybody. It seems I got this invite this morning, Mr Young, the whole man. So there was a real mercy mission in regarding the Blah. Not many people know this. During the Second World War, the Allied forces were pinned down on the beaches in Normandy, and a fellow by the name of Arthur Westcott Pitt flew over from Dunmore East and dropped a consignment of Blahs down on the beaches in Normandy and helped to save the day. Now, not many people know that.
But I heard that name, because I saying a bit earlier that I remember when I was young, and you'd hear an aeroplane, that'd be going back now to the 50s, and my mother and grandmother would run out, and indeed anybody up around the Deise area that would have heard it, out to the doors to look in the sky, and invariably all shout, "There's Westcott Pitt and he's playing."
Very good,
you know?
Very good, so, yeah.
He was a fairly famous man. He was the first man to have an aeroplane in Waterford, I think.
Was he?
I'm not sure now,
well, he wouldn't be far away there.
But he saved the day anyway.
He saved the day, and the rest is history. And there used to be Blah tasting years ago, about 50 years ago, and one aficionado of the Blahs was the Bell Skinny Fannin. You heard of him?
God rest him.
Skinny you could put out 20 Blahs on the table and he'd tell you Harney's Blah from a Welsh's Blah. He was so good at it. You know these fellas sniffing the wine? Well, Skinny Fannin was the man.
The Blah tester.
He was the Blah tester.
Yeah.
And, you know, but as I say, they're here 300 years now, and they're talking about making it a big thing with the Blah.
That's right.
Did you hear that?
I did. I know that
in the EU.
That's right. They've gone to Europe. There's a group of people have gone to Europe already, and they've submitted a case for the Blah to be classified as a unique Waterford food.
Very good.
And that's, I believe there's somebody, I did a little bit of research for that group myself into it, and 100% true. That's true. Yeah.
Very good. So we're going to be good then after a while. Yeah. Well, Dermot, as I say, like, people think that they know an awful lot about the Blah, but there's an awful lot to learn about the Blah.
There is,
you know. Yeah. And those fellas in Europe, they'll when they find out about it.
Well, there you go now, Joe. I'm very delighted that you came over this morning. There's one thing they can say: Joe Tobin didn't come along today and just go blah 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 blah.
And now I wrote a little monologue about the Blah.
Right, Joe. Love to hear it.
And I give it to you now.
Love to hear it.
Peter, can you hear it? Will I fire away here now?
Fire away.
God made the world. Non-believers would dispute that. Marie Curie discovered penicillin. Some scientists would dispute that. The Deise man invented the Blah. Absolutely no dispute there. What is this Blah, strangers might ask? You could tell him all about it if you had the time to spare. The shortest answer, that it is a little bit of roundy heaven, a Deise Delight, a Waterford man's banquet. You can have a ham Blah, a cheese Blah, a rasher Blah, and wait for it, a red lead Blah, better known as a luncheon sausage Blah. When the Blah became on the shops, it was an instant success. You could have a flowery Blah, crusty Blah, and a soft Blah. The Deise punter became an aficionado when Blah tasting was in vogue, and the bakers always listened. It also acted as an aphrodisiac in the 50s and 60s, when 10 children families could be found all over the place. There was a real mercy mission regarding the Blah. The Allied armies were pinned down on the beaches of Normandy, and hunger became a real problem. A light aircraft from Dunmore East, piloted by Arthur Westcott Pitt, dropped a consignment of Blahs down and helped to save the day. However, the Germans got wind of this and decided to bomb Waterford. Thank God the pilot didn't know his geography and dropped his bombs on Campile instead. Of course, there was an attempt of industrial sabotage surrounding the Blah. A scoundrel from Kilmacow tried to steal the formula and produce his own Blahs. The scoundrel's name was Harney. His attempts, however, were a dismal failure. How do we know this? I'll tell you. When the boys from the village and surrounding areas were going to cross the Fidown Bridge to work in Portlaw Tannery, their mammies would give them a packed lunch. Of course, a Harney's Blah was included. The Blahs were so hard that the boys used to throw them at the wooden bridge. Because the bridge was a wooden structure, the bridge began to crumble and was replaced by the lovely bridge that's there today. Of course, the tannery closed. Friends, we are a unique city. Not alone are we a city by charter, but we have our own pod stuff. I am not blackguarding you. You might have 31 All-Irelands. I propose a toast to the Deise Delight, the Wilkin Street Waffle, the Bridge Street Bellybuster, the mighty Blah.
Go on, Joe, bye.